What's going on, everybody? David here. Today we're going to talk about how many points I used in 2019 to travel. But first off, on this channel, we talk about inspiring people to travel more using points. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the little bell notification so you can get future updates on my videos. Now, 2019 was a great year. I had 3 different trips that I took. I went to Colombia. That was my first trip in March. Then I went to Hawaii, and that was in the summertime. And then I went back to Colombia in October. So let me talk about how many points I used to book all these trips. And then at the very end, we'll talk about the total points that I used for 2019. So looking at Colombia, the first trip, Carnival, I used 70,000 points. I booked it through United, but I flew on Avianca. And it was business class, so it was a great experience. And for those of you who don't know, if you fly business class and you also get the lounge access, the Star Alliance lounge access if you're booking with United, depending on where you're flying out from, I guess. But I was flying from Los Angeles, so I go to the Star Alliance lounge, which is a really nice lounge. So that was my first trip, 70,000 points. Now, I didn't use any points to stay in hotels or anything when I was in Colombia. I stayed in Airbnbs the whole time. And I do that a lot. When I travel to Colombia, usually I will stay in Airbnbs. Sometimes I will book a hotel. If there's a hotel available that I like, that I'm comfortable with, like a Hyatt, then I'll use points to stay there. But for the most part, if I'm staying in like Medellin where they don't have a Hyatt, or Barranquilla where they don't have a Hyatt, Cartagena now has a Hyatt. They have a Hyatt Regency there. And Bogota also has a Hyatt, Grand Hyatt, as well as they have a Hyatt Place that will be opening soon. So if that's the case, then I'll use points to stay there. But this first trip, I didn't stay in any of those locations, so I did use Airbnb only. So 70,000 points, that was my first trip. Now let's talk about the second trip. My second trip was to Hawaii, and I traveled to two different destinations. One of the things that I really like about booking with United is you can do multi-city. And so what I did is I flew into Honolulu, spent 2 days in Honolulu, and then I flew from Honolulu to Kauai, spent 7 days in Kauai, and then I flew back home to Los Angeles. And you're able to do that. That trip from Honolulu to Kauai, I didn't have to use any points at all. So that's an extra little trip that you can get in there. They call it a stopover, so I was able to use that stopover. And so that really works out well when it comes to using United and the Star Alliance partners. And I should also mention that I flew on Hawaiian Air. So I booked through United, but flew on Hawaiian Air. So that's important. A lot of people don't understand if you're booking on United, you don't necessarily have to fly on United. You can fly on some of the other airlines. So that's what I did in this situation as well. So as far as hotels in Hawaii, I stayed at the Hyatt Place for 2 nights in Honolulu. So that was a total of 24,000 points. And then when I was in Kauai, I spent 1 night at the Grand Hyatt. That was 25,000 points. So those are the points that I used when I was in Hawaii. Now the other 7 nights I used a timeshare, so I didn't have to pay any cash or use any points to stay there. Okay, so let's talk about my last trip. I went back to Colombia and I stayed there 11 days. And I stayed in Bogota as well as Medellin. So let's talk a little bit about how many points I used. So I spent the same 70,000 points to fly business class round trip to Colombia. And I really like flying business class if the planes are right. So if it's a nice plane, I know I can maybe get a lie flat seat or something like that, then I'll go ahead and use those points to fly. Now with Colombia, it's hit or miss, so you do have to do some research. I would advise getting on Seat Guru and checking out all the different planes that you'll be flying on so you'll know exactly what to expect. But in my situation, flying up, I didn't have any lie flat seat, but flying back, I was able to get a lie flat seat. So I really like that. Now, talking about the hotel stay, because I stayed in Bogota, I did use some points as well as cash. So I did pay for the first 4 nights. It was $100, a little over $100 a night. And then the last 2 nights, I extended my stay is what I did. I extended my stay and I used points to extend my stay. So it was 12,000 points each night. So that was a total of 24,000 points when I was in Bogota. Now, once I left Bogota, I went to Medellin. When I went to Medellin, I didn't use any points there. So that was just staying in an Airbnb the whole time. So we're looking at 70,000 points plus another 24,000. And so that was my last trip of 2019. So let's look at the totals here. So if we're looking at the totals, Colombia, 70,000 points. That was a round trip ticket, my first trip there to Colombia. And then when we're looking at Hawaii, we're looking at 40,000 points for an economy seat, then 24,000 points for the Hyatt Place in Honolulu, and then 25,000 points for the Grand Hyatt in Kauai. And then my last trip, 70,000 points business class to Colombia, and then 24,000 points to extend my stay when I was in Bogota at the Grand Hyatt. And so the total there is 253,000 points. So that's what I spent in 2019. And it's not too bad. That's kind of the norm. Usually I'm around 200,000 points. Now I could have saved points. There's some different ways I could have saved points. I didn't have to fly business class. Now if I was flying to Colombia and I was flying economy, it would have been 40,000 points a round trip. So I would have saved some points there, as well as the hotel stays. I didn't have to stay at some of the hotels that I stayed. The Grand Hyatt, I didn't have to spend that extra 24,000. I could have either booked an Airbnb, or I could have just left and gone to Medellin, where I had an Airbnb available already. So just something to think about when it comes down to using your points. You don't always have to overextend. I like flying business class, but you don't have to fly business class. That's totally your option if you want to do that. Especially if you're flying with other people, it's probably better just to fly economy, or both of you guys fly business class or first class if you can do that. But more importantly, I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the points? Do you think I redeemed them the right way? Please post it down below. Now, and I also want to know, how many points did you guys use in 2019? Please post it down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.